What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the JTW Sports Show. Today's a very, very special one. As you might know, today's February 10th, and at 3 o'clock p.m. was the cut for the trade deadline. Obviously, we're talking NBA here. This was insane, in my opinion. There was so much just went on in a whole hour time span between 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. So much just happened. Obviously, before we get started, I'm getting ahead of myself. TJ, Will, you guys look super enthusiastic. How are you guys feeling today?
TJ, go ahead. Tell them how you're feeling today.
It's been a long day.
Yeah,
It has been a long day. It has been a long day. I'm tired. We had weights this morning. I had gym class. Had to run the pacer test. I feel like I'm in middle school again. And then we had, individual drills where we did, a little bit more stuff. So I'm tired, but I was laying down on the, in our big bean bag, and then I saw all these trades come through, and it really re-energized me. So I'm ready to talk about this stuff.
Dude, that bean bag's so comfy, man. I swear to God. TJ, come on, man. You look super, super stoked, excited to be here. Tell us about your day, man. How you doing?
We had weights, then I had class, then we had individual, then I had class again, and then I took a nap.
Really?
Yeah.
Nap when there's trades going on? Dude, no. I am way too excited to take any kind of nap.
That's where you're wrong.
Dude.
The bed monster gets you, and you take a nap.
So
I'll get it started off with the 76ers and Nets finally made the trade. We talked about it yesterday. James Harden for Ben Simmons. People have been talking about this for, honestly, the last 2 months. We've been hearing this kind of stuff. James Harden wanted out. There's a lot of backlash from James Harden wanting out because he forced his way out of Houston 2 years, or was that 2 years ago? No, that was last year, wasn't it? Because he only played 1 year with the Nets. Yeah, and now he's forcing.
Yeah, because this is his second season with the Nets.
Yeah, and now he's forcing his way out with the Nets. So the deal was James Harden and Paul Millsap for Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and 2 first-round picks. What are y'all's thoughts?
I love it. It switches up some things in the league. Obviously in the Eastern Conference. I personally think it makes both teams better. I think starting with Philly, we talked about it a little bit in our last episode, how they kind of they needed a new spark offensively. Obviously, you don't have Ben Simmons, and as great offensively he is, he's not very good. In the late game, you can't really trust him too much, but also he doesn't have a 3-point shot, and so it's just having James Harden in that lineup with Joel Embiid really just kind of boosts their offense, and I love it so much. Obviously, you did get rid of a little bit of shooting with Seth Curry. That's tough. It hurts, but they were able to make this trade without Matisse Thybulle, and I think that's huge. Matisse Thybulle is one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. He's been fantastic for them. He's not the best offensively, but I think you're making up for that with James Harden. I love this duo. I think they're going to be great. They're kind of the team out in the East now to beat. Now, you look at Brooklyn. I don't know. Maybe they're the team to beat. Obviously, you got the Bucks are in there. The Bucks are really good. But Brooklyn now with Ben Simmons, I think that makes their team a lot better because there's no drama between Kyrie and James Harden. Kyrie's the guy. Yes, he's only the guy for half the games, but he's still, when it comes to – and that's going to be tough. When it comes to playoff times, when they're playing home games or when they're – well, whichever games he's allowed to play in, I get confused now. The whole, I just think adding the defensive structure with Ben Simmons in there just propels that team so much. And Andre Drummond is such a sleeper part of this trade. I think he's still a solid center. He's just he's known for stat padding. But I'm excited to see how this team works out. Both teams.
T, what about you?
Do you think Ben Simmons will struggle?
I don't know. They said that they were going to take their time, bringing him back. He hasn't played all season.
That's what I'm getting at. Do you think he will struggle? Because how much progression can he truly have? And yes, you can train all day, but he hasn't been playing while these other guys have been playing.
Yeah.
And now he's going to a team that had, I guess, ego issues is the way you could put it. who wants to be in this who wants to be in the spotlight. And then you have the flip side. Yes, it's a good trade, but is James Harden going to become another problem? Like, is he going to want out after a year?
Well, he actually accepted his player option for next year, so he will be there for this year and next year at least.
Well, the only reason I'm saying is, what if he's not the spotlight still? Is he going to try and force his way out again?
I'm hoping that he finally realizes that, Embiid is the MVP this year so far. I think we can all agree on that. He leads the league in scoring. He's been one of the best defenders in the league. I hope James Harden realizes that he's not going to have the ball in his hands every single possession. But also, James Harden is a good enough shooter and scorer that he can play off the ball. And I think the problem with the Nets is when James Harden was with the Nets, they wanted him to play and be that guy. But then when Kyrie was on the court, they wanted Kyrie to be that guy and James Harden take a step back. And James Harden was like, nah, I'm not doing that.
But I think it was more of them wanting both of them to be that guy at the same time.
I think that they wanted James Harden to be the third guy on that team. And James Harden was like, no, I'm not the third guy because, for one, Kevin Durant has been hurt a little bit in his time with the Nets. And two, Kyrie Irving has either been hurt or he's not able to play. They literally played 16 games together
16, bro.
in their time together on that team. They did go 13-3 in those games, but they were, it's one of those things. But
that's wild, man.
That was the biggest trade going down. That was, it wasn't like real surprising. So we all knew that was going to happen. Well, not knew it was going to happen, but like we knew of the trade rumors. The second biggest trade I think that happened that nobody really knew was going to happen was Kristaps Porzingis going from the Mavericks to the Wizards for Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans. I don't know how y'all feel about that. I personally like that a lot for the Mavs because Jalen Brunson is going to be a free agent after the season. You're going to have Spencer Dinwiddie there. And then Bertans is a shooter, and you're surrounding Luka with shooters.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think once they traded away Seth Curry originally, it took away a lot of Luka's shooting, or a lot of his help shooting, and that made him struggle a little bit. Obviously, he still was very productive. He's Luka. He's one of the best players in the league. But Davis Bertans, he's a stretch. He's going to be able to stretch the floor really well. I like Kristaps Porzingis. He wasn't playing good with Luka. He wasn't. I think if you can somehow find a way to bring New York KP back to Washington, then I think that's a fantastic trade for both teams because now Luka gets a score. He gets another guard along him. He can play more of a three role rather than the whole entire offense. He doesn't have to bring the ball up every time now. He can let a lot of pressure off of himself and still be able to function at a high level. I love it for him. And obviously we're not going to see it this year because Bradley Beal just had the season-ending surgery with his wrist. But I'm excited to see that duo in the future. I think it could be good. I still like KP.
Okay. TJ, you got anything on that trade? I mean, obviously it's not as big of a trade, but
I mean, KP vocalized though he wanted out of there last season. I mean, he straight up vocalized, "I'm not the person that they brought me in to be." They told me I was going to be a co-host in a sense, and ended up he wasn't. He was the back seat, and he vocalized he didn't want to be there. If that was the case, he wanted to be a co-host in a sense. And now that Bradley Beal did have his season-ending wrist injury, I think he'll be the main front in Washington, at least until next season. And it won't be this season, but it'll be next season that we'll get to see how well that works out.
Yeah, and I think the Wizards are using that trade as because they were reluctant to deal Bradley Beal, who they've been talking about dealing him for a while. I think they're going to use this as okay, we're rebuilding, but we're going to try to rebuild with two players that are already established. Plus, they got Kyle Kuzma this past season, who's been playing really good. So I think a trio of Beal, Porzingis, and Kuzma, and then along with a couple of younger pieces, in maybe a year or two, they could possibly be a playoff team.
I can see it.
The East is getting a lot better. A couple other East teams made a trade. TJ, Do you want to talk about one of them?
I forget who's in the East. Yeah, give me. I did see though, and I wanted to know y'all's opinion about Tory Craig going to the Suns.
Yeah, that's kind of like I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that one. It's not a huge risk.
He played for them last year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's why I was curious. Like, he was on that team that went to the finals, so like,
I think they realized that they probably shouldn't have let him go, because he played a big bench role for them as far as a guy coming off the bench who can give you a lot of defense. But I that's one of those trades where there's always those smaller trades that end up playoff time coming back, and they're like,
coming in.
That's why that team made that trade. Kind of like the PJ Tucker pickup last year for the Bucks when they got PJ Tucker.
Well, since we are talking trade news, just came in 5 minutes ago. Earlier today, Toronto made a trade with the Spurs. I think we received Thad Young.
Yeah.
But we also received Drew Eubanks. We just released him.
I didn't even see that, but yeah. But yeah, I mean, y'all gave up Dragic, who I'm pretty sure he wasn't even playing for y'all.
No.
I like that pickup for y'all. Thad Young. I know there was rumors about Porzingis going to the Raptors, but
that's what you told me earlier.
Yeah, and then there was also rumors about Miles Turner as well. But I like that pickup for the Raptors. It gives them really good versatility when you could throw him or Siakam out there as a small ball 5 and run that.
And they're throwing in swap picks for the draft. And so that could be huge too. That could be a very, very valuable trade asset. I don't know if you guys want to talk about it anymore, but I think one of the coolest parts of this whole entire day was a 4-team trade.
Yeah, I like that. I like this.
It included the Kings, the Pistons, the Clippers, and the Bucks. So I'm gonna spell it out for you. All right. So the Kings received Dante DiVincenzo from Milwaukee, Josh Jackson from Detroit, and Trey Lyles from Detroit. The Pistons received Marvin Bagley, which I talked about. I'm super glad Marvin Bagley's out of Sacramento. Hopefully he can do something. I'm just kind of annoyed that he got put into another bad situation. But that team is young, could be on the come up. We'll see. So Pistons just got Marvin Bagley. The Clippers got Rodney Hood from Milwaukee and Semi Ojeleye, also from Milwaukee. And then the Bucks received Serge Ibaka and 2 second-round picks with a little bit of cash compensation. I love the Bucks getting Serge Ibaka. I think that is huge. Yeah. I love it so much. Serge Ibaka he's such an underrated player. In every single team he's been to, he's been undermined by another great star. And I think his role has fit in so perfectly for these other teams, these championship level teams. And now he's going to the Bucks, and he's going to fit that role so well. I'm so excited to see how he plays next to Giannis, with Chris Middleton, with Drew Holiday. And it kind of pumps me up because I personally love Serge Ibaka. I thought he was great for the Thunder. I thought he was their best player when there was Harden. Not messing with me. But yeah, it's just super exciting. Dante DiVincenzo, I'm starting to like him a lot more every day.
I liked Dante DiVincenzo. He came back from his injury struggling this year. And I think the reason they were willing to give him up is because they picked up Grayson Allen this offseason. And they really do a lot of similar things. Mm-hmm. And Grayson Allen may be a little bit better. I think he's a little bit better shooter. DiVincenzo is probably a little bit better defender. Because he's a little bigger. But yeah, the Serge Ibaka pickup is nice. I think every team came out good in here, and I think the Pistons. I like the Marvin Bagley pickup simply because he is still young and he can maybe grow into what they thought he was going to be, with Cade Cunningham and all the young guys they have over there. But at the same time, Marvin Bagley has his family is real big into the decisions that goes on in his life. And that, to me, I don't like that, personally. His dad is real vocal about, was real vocal about the Kings and, all this and that. And so, as, in my opinion, as a professional athlete, you should be making your own decisions. It shouldn't be, your parents. And I think that's like the Ball brothers. Once LeVar stopped being in the spotlight, talking about Lonzo, Lonzo got a lot better. So I think that
Is
plays.
that due to him actually getting better because LeVar's not talking, or is he, because he's been in the league a couple of years and he's starting to develop?
I mean, yes, he's starting to develop, but
he doesn't have all the attention on him now.
All the attention and the pressure and also the Kings literally drafted Marvin Bagley after DeAndre Ayton and before Trae Young and Luka Doncic. So he had a lot of pressure, and they literally said, "We got our guy. We think he's the best player in the draft." And then Luka and Trae Young come out and are MVP candidates the last 2 years, and then DeAndre Ayton is the third best player on a team that went to the finals last year.
And it's still top 7.
Yeah, he's probably a top 7 center in the league, arguably top 5 at this point, honestly.
I was thinking last year in the finals he was top 5 center in the league.
Yeah.
So before we wrap it up, I'm gonna have a question that you both can answer. Who was the loser of the trade deadline? Of all the trades that happened, who walked away with the worst of it all?
Yeah, I'm going to say the Los Angeles Lakers, and I'm going to say that because they didn't make a move. And I think it's quite clear that how that team was performing, they needed to make a move. And a lot of people said there was like some instances or rumors where they're going to trade Russ. I don't think Russ on the team is a problem. I think his role in the starting lineup is a problem. Will and I talked about this yesterday. If he comes off the bench and can accept and like lower his ego and just, lose a little bit of pride and come off the bench, I think this team is an automatic maybe title contender. I mean, I still think they're going to make it to the Western Conference because I think LeBron is that great, but
I don't think LeBron as a player can allow himself not to go to 2 years of not going in a row.
I meant to say that
they're going to go to
Western Conference semifinals. I don't think I added the semifinals part. I just said the Western Conference. I think they're going to make it to the semifinals in the Western Conference.
I don't even think they're going to make it out of the play-in. Wow. I do not think the Lakers will make it out of the play-in.
I'm not against LeBron, but you need Russ to take his role seriously and to understand that he's not the star on the team anymore.
I'm going to go a little bit different direction because the Lakers, I wouldn't call them a loser at the deadline because they did not have many assets to give away to make trades. Really, all they had was Russell Westbrook and THT. The loser to me at the deadline was the Golden State Warriors. And I know that sounds crazy. They're 41-14 right now, sitting in the second seed in the West, second best record in the league. The reason they are the losers of the deadline is they did not go out and pick up a center or any kind of big man. And yes, James Wiseman's getting healthy. They've actually heard really good progress on him. I think that if they don't find somebody in the buyout market, and they could have traded for a guy like a Serge Ibaka or something that apparently was available, I think that is going to come back to bite them. Even a guy like Miles Turner that was out there, they have the assets to trade for a Miles Turner.
I'm sure with Miles Turner though, I'm sure they tried, but since they traded Sabonis, they didn't want to give away both their guys.
Yeah. They could have. I just think that the Warriors are going to struggle against a team. They struggle against teams that have good big men. And so I think I would say they were the losers of the trade deadline.
I think the reason they didn't is because they're playing for playoffs now. And it's kind of almost a guarantee that they're going to make playoffs, even if they lose every single game from now on. And I think they're kind of relying on James Wiseman and Draymond Green to be back and healthy for playoffs. And I think that's why they're not trying to ruin the camaraderie the team already has right now, because like you said,
I'm not even saying they should have went out and made a big splash, but they could have traded for, a Daniel Tice who just got dealt. These smaller tier backup centers who I think
give up for them though. I know you don't
want to give up. You're not going to give up your rookies or anything, but I feel like
someone like Jordan Poole would have ended up being in that trade process, and I don't want for them to give up.
No. I'm not talking about giving up a player like that. I'm saying they could have given up a couple bench players, maybe a first round pick in 5 years or something, and get a player that is going to help them win a championship this year. But TJ, I'm going to reverse this and ask you who you think the loser of the trade deadline was.
Actually, I have an answer for this one.
Okay.
Good.
I think it's Portland. In my opinion, I forgot about Portland. I think Portland's the way they handled the trades was not the way to go. They made the CJ McCollum trade, and everyone's like, okay, they're about to go everyone thought when that trade happened, they're now going in a rebuilding era instead of building around Dame. And now they're like, no, we want to build around Dame. And everyone's like, that's just not the way that they needed to go. If they're going to get rid of one, I think they should have gotten rid of Dame as well, traded for Dame and start fresh and really rebuild that team. To where now you're going to try and build around Dame and for the foreseeable future, for at least the rest of this season and probably next season, Dame's going to be on a team that's in a rebuilding phase when he's not in a rebuilding career. If that, like, he's at that point in his career, he's not in a rebuilding stage anymore. He's in his prime.
Yeah.
He's trying to win a ring. And so I think that's what makes them the loser of the trades, is just because of the way that they made a trade that everyone's like, okay, that's kind of in the right direction. And then they never really did anything past that to furthermore, you know.
And it's not like they made the trade. I don't mean to interrupt, but it's not like
No,
they
you're
made
good.
the trade for, you know, they made the McCollum trade and got like a good player back. They literally got like role players back. So we were all like, oh, they're rebuilding.
Yeah, but now it's oh, we got these role players to build around Dame, and it just doesn't. I don't see the direction they're going in. I understand what their vision is, but I don't think it's the right one. And I mean, we're going to see how it plays out. I mean, hopefully at some point Dame does get traded like we've hoped for. So, because I mean, he needs to be on a team to win a ring. He's at that point in his career, and then Portland can finally start doing their rebuild.
Oh yeah, I can agree with that.
I think the all-time winner of this trade deadline was easily the Orlando Magic. They got Bol. They're about to win a championship.
Yep, it's over with.
Bobo, he's the goat, the demigod.
Well, Jimmy, you are a Hawks fan, and he was a former Hawk. How do you feel about Dennis Schroeder now going to Houston?
Yeah.
Apparently they're going to buy him out, is what I'm hearing, and that's why I didn't say the Lakers, because apparently, and from everything people are hearing, is he might go back to the Lakers.
Yeah, that's very, very likely. Sucks for him because he missed out on a 4-year, $82 million deal with the Lakers just to get bought out and sign a very small contract, probably back with them. But yeah, I mean, Dennis Schroeder, I think he was very, very, very average in Atlanta, and he's made his career like a lot better everywhere he's been since. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a smaller trade, but again, it's Daniel Tice, like we was talking about earlier. It's kind of a very good role player for another very good role player, but this is a budget cost. Like it's a cutting trade.
Yeah.
They're cutting their money right there. They're trying to clear up some space for free agency and for future trades. So I like the trade on both sides because you both either got rid of something or added something to the team. So, but I mean, a lot of these teams made a bunch of trades and it was fun to watch. Like it was cool. Like every second I'm in my environmental science lab, and I just get all these dings and notifications from Twitter and ESPN and stuff. So it was cool to track it as it went down, but it's over now. These are the teams for the rest of the year. So it's cool to see how these teams will shape up and react in the playoffs and for the rest of the season.
All-Star week's coming up soon, isn't it?
Yeah, the All-Star game I want to say is it's like February 23rd ish.
That's what I'm saying. Right after All-Star weekend. That's when,
if I'm not,
start to see who can play and who can't.
If I'm not mistaken, I think the All-Star draft is like, it might be tonight.
We'll have to check it out.
It is.
Yeah,
it's tonight at 6:30. Because I was like, I swear it said February 10th. Yes, tonight at 6:30 on TNT is the All-Star draft.
So as we're tuning into that, you guys need to be tuning into this. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up now. But guys, thanks for watching.
Be on the lookout for our Super Bowl video predictions tomorrow.
Tell us what you think and who was the best graded trade of all these. So we'll see you guys in the next one.
See ya.
See you guys.